All right, everybody, it's time to grind and don't quit. Thanks so much for being here this morning on our first live stream for 2018 for voiceover domination as well as inevitable immersion results. So, all right, everybody, it's time to grind. Oops, I forgot to turn my sound off here. Thanks so much for being here this morning on our first. Boom. Okay, there we go. Now, see, I was watching myself, so I forgot to turn off the my audio on my screen here. But go ahead and give me a hey, what's up? Let me see who's in on the live stream this morning, and we're going to go ahead and get underway. We're going to be talking today about doing a natural read. It's one of those things that kind of is a conundrum for some folks, and whenever we get behind this microphone, for whatever reason, we seem to do something and act in a different way than we would in our normal everyday speech. And what so many folks are looking for, especially when you're doing things like e-learning, explainer videos, and really a ton of commercials at this point, people are looking for someone that can just do a natural read as opposed to, trying to sound like a voice actor, which is a thing that many of us struggle with, quite honestly. I think many of us struggle with that. So we're going to go ahead and get into that today. What's up, Scott? Glad to see you in the house on this training session. What we're going to go through today, I have a little script here. And by the way, if anyone wants to get in and be a guinea pig, I'll go ahead and take your call when I get ready for that. But there's a ton of information out there about how to do a natural read. I got this script, which I do every week when we do this, from Edge Studio. Even found a blog that I linked to Edge Studio that goes through that, and also a YouTube video that may be able to help you with that too, over and above what we discuss within the next, 45 minutes to an hour during this particular course for today. When you get into trying to do a natural read, there's a couple of things that will help, definitely will help in regards to you delivering that script just in a natural tone. If you ever have done auditions like, well, you probably don't get much feedback off of the pay-to-play sites, but excuse me, God bless me. When you do auditions, you may get some feedback from time to time, maybe from an agent or something like that. That will let you know it sounds like you're reading, or it's too announcery. We need a more natural type of read. And what the heck does that really mean? When someone says they want a more natural read, what are they really saying? What they're saying is that they want you to sound like you. That's what they're saying. They want you to sound like you. Good morning, Barbara. Tanya just showed up in here. Sam, what's going on? They just want you to sound like you. And I think when it comes down to voice acting, so many times people are trying to sound a certain type of way. Sometimes there's a voice, I believe, that we have in our head that we try and live up to or sound like, especially when we hear ourselves in the microphone and our headphones and things of that nature. And it destroys the read. I've talked before about what I call a ramp up, which in a lot of things like with a commercial, especially if you're going back to back as opposed to just going into the read, basically you kind of add on like a conversation before, like you're having a conversation with someone, then you go into the read and it makes it sound more natural. And I've talked about that before in previous of these lessons, so I'm not going to go through that again. But what I want to make sure that you get a good understanding of is that voiceover, in particular, when we're talking about a natural read, there's no sound that you're going for. There's not a particular sound that you're going for. It's just you. It's just you. And be comfortable and confident in who you are, because there's no particular way that you need to sound other than yourself. And for whatever gosh doggone reason it is, people have the hardest time just trying to be themselves. Whether that's something that's psychological, like we don't believe in ourselves, we don't have enough confidence in ourselves, or whatever, it's something that just has to be gotten over. And when you hear me talk, just like in my regular everyday conversation, when you see me on my live streams every day, Monday through Friday, when I do my live streams at 10 a.m. Central, or when you're listening to me right now, I'm just talking to you. There's no I'm not being a voice actor or anything like that. I'm not trying to add on a little bit of flavor to my voice to, kind of impress you guys. It's just Earl. And I think that's where we really have to get to, that we're really comfortable in our own skin. We're really simply comfortable in our own skin. Before I go into this in regards to what I want to show you and what I want to teach you, I do want to open it up for questions in regards to this. If you have some at this point, is there something in particular about the natural read that you think you struggle with? Go ahead and pop that in the comments and I can see that. So if there's something that you think you struggle with, now, let's get this straight. When you're going through your read, let's say you got a script and you're looking at that script, sometimes that script may say something. We want someone that sounds serious. We want someone that sounds professional. We want someone that sounds informed and in the know, something like that. Those types of things. This is what I want you to look at, because it has nothing to do with the style of voice that you have. All it has to do with is, how would you actually sound saying this authentically? How would you say it authentically? And sometimes what we have to do is we have to get into ourselves and tap into a certain type of emotion. There are scripts that I've done that I've actually cried because I had to tap into a certain type of emotion. A lot of things that come up. Oh, here's my notes. I wanted to make sure that I covered this while I'm waiting for you guys to ask any questions that you might have with this. First of all, like I said, when you're doing a natural read, pick a person to talk to. Literally. Envision your mom, your dad, your brother, your wife, your husband, friend, whatever. Envision someone to talk to. And don't talk to the microphone. You talk to the person. Because this is supposed to be a natural read. So it's in your own voice. You're talking to a person. And we talked about the ramp up. Here's another thing, and I used to struggle with this. Breathe. Breathe. There's a lot of things that we can get out in editing. There may be times where it is a long, drawn out sentence, and you're gonna have to take that breath. Don't worry about it. Just do it. Get you a nice chunk of air and deliver the read. Deliver that line. Okay, take a break. Okay, because you can edit this. You can edit this and put this back together. No problem. Breathing is important. And I think a lot of times, and that's why I said one of the things that I struggled with was making sure that I breathe. It's just like me sitting here having a conversation with you. I'm taking natural breaths. I'm not reading a script. I'm just taking natural breaths where I would want to pause, or I need some air. And so I have to breathe. If you can, it is very, very important to stand. I think standing makes such a difference in everyone's reads. And that's why, you can see right here, I've got my little, that's where I stand and that's where I do my voiceover. I don't sit here. First of all, this is just a broadcast mic. Not that I've used this for voiceover. I use this mic for voiceover for years, but it is a broadcast mic. So I just use this here. But when I'm doing an audition or something like that, I'm standing up. It helps with the breathing. You don't become lazy or anything like that. And here's the other thing. Have you noticed, as I'm talking, even right now, I'm animated. My arms are moving. I'm moving back and forth, even in my chair, because that's just me. That's how I naturally am. And it helps me get into what it is that I'm talking about, as opposed to just standing at the mic, trying to read it's like, how do you draw an emotion? How do you do that? What is that thing for you that really helps you draw in that emotion? I talk with my hands a lot, and it helps in my reads. And I'm sure most of you probably saw that read I did back at the end of last year, where I just kind of let you in on a whole session that I had, a directed session with one of my clients. And you saw how animated I was. I can't remember the line, but I was yelling or whatever. I forget what it was. I forget what it was. But anyway, through my reads and through my natural conversation and the way that you see me do my YouTube videos during the week, I'm animated because it helps me bring things out. Okay, so we got a couple of questions here. Let's see. Alan, thanks, Earl. Good advice. It takes courage and integrity to be authentic and speak with one's genuine voice. Yes. I think it takes more courage than most people know, because you do have to get outside of your own head and not worry about what you think you sound like, because we don't do that normally. We're not walking around wondering if I sound good when we're when we're having conversation. We don't do that. But for whatever reason, this microphone, it seems to want to change our whole persona. And that will never, ever be natural. All right. So Tanya's saying natural voice might be tough. I have a public speaking presentation background, so I think I'm always reading in presentation mode. And that takes a particular type of skill. There are voiceover jobs that I've had, actually some quite frequently, where I am an announcer in, for a conference. I did one just about 6 weeks ago, and I was the voice of God. Basically, that's what they call the person over the loudspeakers in a big conference room. You're the voice of God because you're giving direction to a large group of people. And so there's a certain type of way, and you might add on a little something to your voice, for that, but there's no problem with that because that's what it calls for. But here's the thing. We are voice actors. We don't pay enough attention to that word actor. Acting is a big part of what it is that we do. We can look at a movie, you go to a top film and you say, oh my gosh, he's such a good actor. And then you watch a B movie, like, unfortunately, please, ladies, do not get mad at me for saying this. My wife watches Lifetime like it's Oxygen. And sometimes I'll walk in and I'll see something and I'm like, this is not good acting. It's like, you can just tell. You can tell. Not to say that all Lifetime movies are like that, but for the most part, what I've seen, yeah, it is. Stories might be great, but some of those actors in some of these Lifetime movies, you need a little bit more practice, but they're probably way better than what I could do. So let's leave it there. But it's a big to-do in regards to understanding that this is acting. You are not just reading here. It's not just something that you want to read. You've got to bring something to this. And I don't care what the script is. You've got to bring something to it. And so that's highly important. Now, what I did here, and by the way, as you have questions, you can go ahead and put those questions in. So what I did was I found a script on, and you'll see this right below the video. I found a script on edgestudio.com. And I would encourage everyone to join Edge Studio. It's free to join. Just go there. You can get a ton of information. You can get scripts to practice with and things of that nature. It's a good resource. And as I said, even with one of the blogs it's right below the script, I posted a video that I think is good for you guys to watch. And I posted an article that I think is good for you guys to read. And I got that article from Edge Studio. And so you might want to check those things out. Now, the script that I stole from Edge Studio is, I'll just read a portion of what it says because I haven't read through the script, and I didn't read through it purposefully because I want you to watch me do this and see how this comes out. And this is for a natural read. There's no music involved. There's nothing at all. So I'm going to do this cold so you guys can see what it is that I would do. And if any of you want to get in after the fact and say, hey, let me be a guinea pig. Let me try this thing, Earl. We can do that. And I can coach you through the read, for that. So you guys get to critique me first this week. All right. So with this script, and these are the notes from Ron Jaffe. I think that's what it is. He says, I wrote this script kind of as a tribute to voice actors, but also to allow the person reading it to use some different intonation in his read. Please note, the script is meant to be read dry with no music or sound effects. Just use your voice and speak naturally with somewhat relaxed pace. Let me take a sip. Now, when you first approach a script, no matter what it is, don't try and record yourself doing it. What you want to do is read the script. I'm not going to be able to mark up because I'm just reading this off of my screen here. But what you want to do is read through the script just to see what the script says. Get an idea of what it's about and maybe some points. And sometimes you want to mark on your script just to kind of give you some visual cues as to doing certain things. I've just got to do this cold with this. So let's just read through the script first. All right. And when you read through the script, all it is you're doing for the first time or a couple of times, you're just reading it. You just want to know what it says. You're not trying to act. All right. So here we go. This is my voice. There is no music and there are no sound effects, only the pure, clear sound recorded from your ears. I am a voiceover artist, a voice actor, a voice talent, and I can convey my message in many ways, in many tones, and with many emotions. I can speak in a very light whisper to share an intimate message with you, or my voice can boom deeply, demanding respect from those who are listening. My voice can express sympathy to someone who has just experienced a great loss, or it can reflect the happiness one feels after having accomplished something great. What I want you to note too, as you're reading through this, the punctuation. Let me read through this and I'll come back to punctuation. I sit or stand before this tube constructed of metal, of plastic, of wires, and of silicone, which listens patiently to me, as it were alive, like a mistress, hour after hour, day after day, night after night. It never judges me. However, it is a reflection of me, one which is neither vengeful nor forgiving. I am a voice actor, and this is my voice. Okay. You read through the script because you just want to note some things. Like I'm looking at, I think, the second paragraph where he says, I can speak in a very light whisper to share an intimate message. Then I'll have to change up. It's a booming voice demanding respect for those listening. Then my voice can express sympathy to someone who has just expressed a great loss, or it can reflect the happiness one feels, blah, 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 blah. Well, punctuation, that's what I wanted to go back to. Punctuation in many cases is not your friend. Because we don't speak in punctuation. We don't speak in periods or question marks or whatever. We don't wait for a certain punctuation. We just speak and our voice goes in the direction that it needs to go. And there may be a way that you speak that it'll be a run-on sentence. And so even with punctuation, it may be better. It may sound better as a run-on sentence if you speak it that way. And so as you're reading and as you're going through, these are some things that you really have to consider. Punctuation is there for a reason at times, especially if you look at the first line, this is my voice, and it's got the ... That means there's a pause. They want to pause. The second line, it's got a ... after effects. So that's what it is. When you're trying to do a natural read, one of the things that is important is, how should I say this? Your diction, your pronunciation of words, depending on the script, may sound better if you don't use diction. It's so particular sometimes because you've really got to get into the natural flow of it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this as, okay, this is my read here. And knowing that I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 takes of this, but I'm just going to do one and we'll see how it goes. All right. So how would I approach this one? All right. Now, what I said to you guys, first of all, is when you're doing this, you want to pick someone to talk to. You don't want to talk to the microphone. You want to pick someone to talk to. So you go through your memory banks or whatever, or someone that made you smile yesterday or whatever. And you just think of someone that you want to talk to, and that's where you go. What happens a lot of times, especially if you're in someone else's booth, the butterflies will happen and you get nervous. What's funny is the only time that I don't get nervous is here. I never get nervous here, but I am always nervous going into someone else's booth. I don't know why, but every time I have to go into someone else's studio and do a read, I have to get over my butterflies and just go with it. It doesn't take long. I mean, as soon as I start reading, I'm into it, they go away. But that nervousness is natural. So don't think that there's something weird because you get nervous when you're about to do a read. Just know that it's something that you have to work through. All right, so let me do this read. And here. Who am I going to talk to? By the way, Skywalker, if you're in, happy birthday. All right. This is my voice. There's no music and there's no sound effects, only the pure, clear sound recorded for your ears. I'm a voiceover artist, a voice actor, a voice talent, and can convey my message in many ways, in many tones, and in many emotions. I can speak in a very light whisper to share an intimate message with you. Or my voice can boom deeply, demanding respect from those who are listening. My voice can express sympathy to someone who has just experienced a great loss. Or it can reflect happiness one feels after having accomplished something great. I sit or stand before this tube constructed of metals, of plastic, of wires, and of silicon, which listens patiently to me, as if it were alive, like a mistress, hour after hour, day after day, and night after night. It never judges me. However, it is a reflection of me, one which is never vengeful nor forgiving. I am a voice actor, and this is my voice. Okay. Now, that's how I would approach it initially, just using my own personality, my own persona, or whatever, and just I don't try and sound like something. I just try and sound like me. All right, so I'm going to see here. I'm going to wait for a moment, see any comments that you guys may have, critiques that you may have of the read that I just did on that. And again, it would be something... On something like this, I would do, at least 3 takes, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 takes. And I would listen to each take in my DAW, and I might take bits and pieces from each take to combine it into a final one, because I may have delivered a line a little better, in my opinion. And especially, this is even when you're in someone else's booth or when you're getting directed in a voiceover session because you're in studio or via Skype or something like that. The engineer or the client is going to give you direction. Hey, can you say that a little bit like this? And that's what you do. And so you'll be cutting and pasting all along the way, especially as you get towards the end in regards to developing that final piece. So just know, believe me, I'm not going to do takes. I told you guys I do one. I'm going to do one. I'm not going to bore you with doing 3 or 4 takes. One, because I'm not recording it. And at any rate, okay, let's go back here. No problem, Skywalker. Glad to have you in here now. I'd love the opportunity to do this read if you need a volunteer. Okay. All right, Skywalker, go ahead and buzz me up on Skype and we can do that. Need to add my headsets in here with that. But yeah, Skywalker, if you want to buzz me up, we can go for that. All right. Let's see what else here. Russ, your ears are 2 of your greatest tools in VOs. Listen to conversations around you. Listen to actors on your favorite TV shows and movies. My guess is there was a script involved at some point, but listen to how people communicate with each other. Read a script in a conversational manner. Yes, easier said than done. Takes practice, but use tools on both sides of the ear. Hey, Skywalker, how you doing? Make sure you go ahead and turn off the volume on the video. Okay. With that, you can just mute it or whatever. And okay, all right. And I just want to check to make sure that everyone can hear Skywalker. It's your birthday today. Yes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. You are more than welcome. All right. And I got up early just so I wouldn't miss this. Okay. Okay. All right. Now, also, before going into the read, and have you, I'm assuming you've read through the script or whatever. Well, I read through it. Yeah. Okay. Good enough. With that, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear you as well. Just say, hey, everyone, can you hear me? Hey, everyone. Okay, now I just got to wait to see and make sure that someone responds. And there's a delay, so I've got to sit here and wait for a moment. Okay. Is this do you hear me good now, or should I get my Bluetooth? No, I hear you fine. Okay. I hear you just fine. I'm just wondering, all right, I had your volume down, so I just turned the volume up. All right, so let me check something else, because they're saying they're not hearing you. So let me check. No, it's not on you. This is on me. Okay. Yeah, this is completely on me to make sure that my audio routing is appropriate. And that's appropriate. And this might be what is the issue. No, that shouldn't be the issue. Let me just see here. Okay, I can hear that. And let me do a refresh. Okay. All right. I think they can hear you now with that. So what we're going to do, but I'm going to say this and then we're going to go into the read. Just let me know, everyone, if you can hear Skywalker. Just make sure that you're up on your mic close enough or whatever. Do you have any questions before you start in regards to going through the read?
No, and I'm just using my computer mic right now.
Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a directed session? Have you ever been in a booth? Okay. All right. Then how it works, and I can tell you this, and this will help some other folks as well. When you go through a directed session, you will get stopped several times during the read. And people will say, well, can you do this a little bit like that? But what we're going to do is I'm just going to let you go through the read. I'm not going to stop you just for the sake of time. But what I'll do after you do that is I'll go ahead and critique you on the read. Okay. So whenever you're ready, you go for it.
Okay. This is my voice. There is no music and there are no sound effects. Only the pure, clear sound recorded for your ears. I am a voiceover artist, a voice actor, a voice talent, and I can convey my message in many ways, in many tones, and with many emotions. I can speak in a very light whisper to share an intimate message with you, or my voice can boom deeply, demanding respect for those who are listening. My voice can express sympathy to someone who has just experienced a great loss. Or it can reflect the happiness one feels after having accomplished something great. I sit or stand before this tube constructed of metals, of plastics, of wires, and of silicon, which listens patiently to me as if it were alive, like a lover, hour after hour, day after day, and night after night. It never judges me. However, it is a reflection of me, one which is neither vengeful nor forgiving. I am a voice actor, and this is my voice.
Okay. Now, where I would have stopped you, it probably would have been about 5 or 6 times that I would have stopped you had you reread. And where that would come into play is your diction and pronunciation were too perfect.
Oh. Okay.
If that makes
I've
sense.
been criticized for that for you.
You know, in particular, like when you said the word patiently, you said it patiently. And as opposed to like in regular conversation, you might say it, you know, which listens patiently. You wouldn't accent or put something on every last syllable that's in there when we speak naturally. The entire read, basically, it sounded like you were reading, but this was your first time doing it. So I'm not that critical of it. But it sounded like you were reading as opposed to having an experience. You know, so just depending on the client, they may have said, well, let's start with this line. Now, if I go back and let me just see, I'm going to find a line here. Okay, the third line where it says I'm a voiceover artist, a voice actor, a voice talent, and can convey my message in many ways, in many tones, in many emotions. Okay, just read that line the way that you would do it if you were performing it.
Okay, I am a voiceover artist, a voice actor, a voice talent, and I can convey my message in many ways, in many tones, and with many emotions.
Okay, let's take one line. I am a voiceover artist. Just say that.
I am a voiceover artist.
Okay, now you read that in a conversation. For instance, like let's just have one. Yeah, Skywalker, today's your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Did you get anything special for your birthday yet? Anything,
Well, my
whatever?
husband. Well, it's early, but my husband did leave me a. He made me a card.
Okay. Oh, well, that's great. That's great. What is it that you do?
Yeah. I'm a voiceover
See,
artist.
you see how different, and I think everybody just heard, even though you fumbled the word, I think everybody just heard how much more natural that sounded because
Uh-huh.
you were in a conversation with someone beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
With that, it makes a difference. You're not looking to read; you're just looking to say.
Right.
And there's a
Right.
difference, and that's when I talk about using the what I call the ramp up. Is just what we did. It's like you're having a fake conversation, and then you say the line.
Right.
And so if you need to do that several times throughout, then you do that.
Okay.
And you can fake that with yourself, and just go back and forth. Or you can work with a buddy or something like that just to help you ramp up to the line. You may need to do it line by line just to make sure that you get that natural type of tone, that natural type of feel. Everybody that's listening, did you hear the difference in her just delivering that one line? Just give me a yes or no or whatever. I just want an acknowledgement of if you could tell the distinct difference between her reading the script and then basically having a fake conversation with me and how much of a difference that actually made with that. But no, I appreciate you doing that, Skywalker, and coming in and getting over fear probably and just going on and doing that. But I
Yeah, that
appreciate it.
was helpful because with my storytelling and my husband has told me a lot of times that I over enunciate,
Okay.
and so that's good. And also just getting the feedback on knowing and being more aware of how I sound that I'm reading.
Hmm.
That's really helpful.
Okay.
Thank
Well, look,
you.
you're more than welcome. You have a great birthday, and I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye bye. All right. So John's letting me know. Yep, more natural, and it is one of the tricks in this thing that I call a ramp up. It's one of the tricks that I use to help me. Sometimes I'll just have a fake conversation with myself. I'll just start talking. It does work better with a partner. And then here's the thing: when you do that, you can edit out the stuff you don't need. You edit out all of that pre-conversation, boom, right to the point where you say the line. You just delete everything else. And that line comes across extremely natural. And I will probably forever use that technique. Especially I use it a lot in auditions. I can't use it like in the booth with someone, not my talk show, but like if I'm in another studio in someone else's booth, I kind of have to do it more so in my head and then deliver the line and go from there. My delivery would have been better if I spent more time on my ramp up. When I did the read before Skywalker did, mine would have been better too. But this is one of those little tricks that actually works for me. And you see how you see how genuine you can sound when you do something like that. All right. I want to reiterate this again. I've attached a YouTube video from someone else that I thought was really, really good that talked about delivering a natural read, and also the article. And you see it right below. If you just scroll down, it's above the book from Rodney Salisbury. And at some point this year, I'll probably get into some of those, tongue twisters and vocal warm-ups. Sometimes they can be very, very helpful. I use them usually earlier in the morning, or if I haven't been talking for a while, but I talk most of the day. Either I'm doing my show, I'm doing auditions, or I'm doing one-on-one coaching and training. So I talk most of the day. So I'm, my lips and everything, they're all, whatever. They're ready to go. But one of the most important things for me, especially because I talk so much, is drinking water. Actually, this is what I have in my grind and don't quit cup right now is just water. Drinking that because I needed some. Okay. I'm going to hold it open for questions right now. And I hope that this has been informative for you. I believe that it has been. But what I want to do now, this is just our Q&A portion. I'm done teaching. So if you have questions based on what I've taught, then you can go ahead and ask those questions right now, and I can take and field those questions for everyone. And just again, just don't forget to, I would go ahead and pay attention to that link to a YouTube video and also the article. In particular, if you're struggling with a natural type of read, which quite honestly, that's what most voice actors struggle with, is that. Justin is asking, how do you sustain that through the whole read? Question. Yeah, sometimes you have to do it several times through the read. Sometimes it'll become easier for you to sustain it, but not today. If you know what I mean, you're not going to get it today. It's going to come with practice, and it's going to come with just you knowing yourself, the confidence level that you have in yourself to keep that thing going. So there may be several times where you have to stop yourself, listen to how to how it comes across and how it sounds. And that's another reason why I still yet today do 3 to 5 takes of certain types of voiceover scripts, because I want to get the best possible read that I can get. And you don't get that in one take. Never. I've never been in a studio where I've knocked it out of the box in one read. I've never seen anyone knock it out of the box in one read. And you really don't want to think that you can, because you'll probably miss out. And any engineers or any engineer, as far as that's watching you from the, in the booth and coaching you through the read, they're never just going to take one take. They're going to do several with that. So if you need to do it line by line, you do it line by line. Okay, Martin is asking, how do you avoid moist mouth? You know what, Martin? I don't know. There are so many different things. People will talk about green apples. They'll talk about coconut drops. They'll talk about a whole lot of things. No two mouths are the same. So there are going to be times, for whatever reason, even for me, a lot of saliva is building up in my mouth and I have no idea why that's happening. So I have to work through it. And so the work around that is to just do portions of lines at a time, swallow, and then start again. So, but as far as the thing that's going to stop moist mouth or mouth noise or anything like that, there's no one size fits all for that. What I would do is go on YouTube and I would look up videos, how to eliminate mouth noise, stuff like that. I've done some videos, and actually if you look that up, how to eliminate mouth noise, you'll probably see me talking about a few different ways. But look at some other folks, because something that works for me may not work for you. And that's why it's such a broad topic to talk about. But I'm not an expert on that. I just have to work it. I either have to work around it or wait until it goes away or whatever. But like I said, I'm not sitting around eating green apples all day just to try. But anyway, so that's one of the things with that. Skywalker is asking about how many times do you have to repeat and read to get it to sound natural? That question is answered within your question until it sounds natural. That's it. There's no number. And self-direction is really, really hard. Let me just deal with that. Self-direction, as opposed to being directed by an engineer or someone or a client, is really hard, because here's why it's hard. It's hard because the client already has a voice in their head of how they want this whole thing to sound. They have a complete, from beginning to end, how they want it to sound. And that's why it takes so many times sometimes to get the proper read, because that client is trying to hear from you what they hear in their head. And that's what they want, and that's what you have to deliver. When you're self-directing, there's no one telling you how to make this sound other than you. That's why auditions are really difficult at times, because you're not talking to the client. You're sitting in an audition. And the person, not necessarily the best voice actor, but the person that sounds like the voice in their head is what they're looking for. And it's not a slight against you. It's not that you can't do it, because you're not being directed. You're submitting an audition. What else do you know? You're self-directing. But someone may do a different style of read or have a different style or whatever in a natural way and in a natural tone that just sounds in the ear of the client how they want it to sound. That's why auditions are so, so difficult and hit and miss. And we sit and wonder why we didn't get the job. It's not because you didn't do a good job. In many of the cases, it's not because you didn't do a good job. You just didn't sound like the sound that client or potential client had in their ear. All right. Let's see here. John saying, it's also helpful to go back to your auditions a few days later. When practicing this, I found I'm more detached. Yeah, you're right about that. You become more detached and you can hear better. All of that stuff. Alan thinks, Earl, would you agree that there's a balance act between an authentic, natural performance and telling the story and observing craft technique too? Yeah, there is. And that's why it comes down to acting. Now, you can watch the same actor do 10 different movies and 10 different personality types. But guess what? That actor still sounds like that actor. He's just bringing, or she's just bringing that emotion to the character. That's where we have to really learn more about acting. And I've said before, there's nothing wrong. I think it's actually beneficial for folks like us to take improv classes. I think they're fun. It'll bring out more of you, and you'll get over some of the skittishness. You'll get over some of the shyness by, just going to an improv class, taking an improv class. Probably most of the community colleges around anywhere you are probably offer them. There's probably acting groups around in your city or wherever, but just doing improv where you have to on the spot bring something to light or bring an emotion to the forefront, it's helpful for what we do. It is really helpful for what we do. And acting is not about, it is about becoming that character, but it's about you bringing you to the character, unless you're playing someone specific, like an actual person, and you have to be that person. And everybody knows that person and their speech patterns and how they talk and things of that nature. If you're going to do that type of character, you've got to bring it to the forefront. But for a fictional type of character, it is you bringing yourself to it. I'm saying it like it's easy, but I know that it's not. All right, let me do a little refresh here and see if there are any more questions coming in with that. And let's do another refresh here. All right, it doesn't look like anyone else has any questions. By the way, if you guys don't know, when you come back and you watch this video or any other video that's, in our group here on the website, anytime you leave a comment on the video, and that's where I would leave comment. When you have questions about any video that I've done in our group, go to that video and put your question there. That question comes to me automatically. I don't have to go on the website and see if someone posted a comment or a question. I get emailed automatically. Like, I've been getting emails since you guys have been commenting this whole time. So I get an email every time someone comments. So I get to see the comment. I get to see the video that they're commenting on. So when you have a question, it helps me if you go to that video and you ask that question, because then I have context behind everything. Just so you know, I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that. So even if you came in late or you're watching the recorded version of this, if you have a question, put the question in the comment. I will see it as soon as you hit post comment. And then I can respond in kind right there on your comment, so that other people that watch this video at a later time, they'll see the questions and comments and answers that have come in. And it makes it that much easier for everyone to really learn and get a good grasp of what's going on. Well, all right, guys, no more comments came in. No more questions came in. And so I appreciate all of you guys being here today. And I'll be here next week. Oh, here's the other thing. Next week, we're going to be talking about audio processing and editing. That's our next lesson for our next time together, which is next Saturday, 11 a.m. Central. We're going to be talking about audio processing. What I would like to do, and you might want to jot this down in case you don't have it, my email address is earl@earlhallstudio.com. earl@earlhallstudio.com. I'm going to be teaching on audio production and processing. I need to know and want to know what you want to know. Make sense? I've gotten to a point where I don't know, and I've had this conversation with a couple of you. I don't know what you don't know. So you asking the questions will, from this point forward, help me create the content. I've given a lot of basic information and even some in-depth information, but I need to know what you guys want to know or need to know or is pressing on you to get an answer to so that I can create a course around that. And so next week, what I want to be talking about are the questions that you guys have. So what I need you to do for me is email me, earl@earlhallstudio.com. Between now and next Friday, whatever, as you think of it, you have a question about audio production, processing, effects, plugins, DAW, whatever, microphone interfaces, the gamut of what it's going to cover for audio production. I just need to know what those questions are, and email me that at earl@earlhallstudio.com. All right, guys, you have an awesome and an amazing weekend. Again, happy birthday, Skywalker, and I'll see you guys next time. You have a good one. Bye-bye.